Let's go a little bit further here, though, just to see what else is in this direction, because it looks like we saw seemingly another person over here before, and there is a little bit more down over here, at least in theory. So there might be more Geth for us to fight. I don't think the other quests are going to be in this direction, but who knows? Yeah, Ian Newstead over there. Maybe before we chat with him. Any reason to believe anything is over here? And it looks like it's theoretically just a dead end in either of these directions. But to confirm real quick, this is not a door of any variety. No, it doesn't appear to be. In which case, why don't we chat? And there's another, what appears to be dead end over here, but I'm thinking this is the guy we're looking to talk to in this case. Suppose we can, well, we have the chance, confirm that suspicion, and suspicion confirmed. No other things of note over there. Not like any loot here either, so, alright, let's talk.
You don't want to go down there.
Down where? And also, who are you?
What are you doing down here?
Nothing I should be, and anything I shouldn't.
Excuse me?
No!
What?
That was a good one. Very intense.
Are you okay?
What's the matter with you?
Just invoking the Master's whip helps remind me
Huh?
I'm still alive.
Excuse me?
You're here for the Geth, aren't you? You're not the only one interested in those things.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I believe, technically speaking, depending on your response to this part of the dialogue here, could end this conversation in one of two ways. Let's see, what do you mean exactly?
Who else is looking for the Geth?
Not looking for, looking to get rid of. They're a thorn in the side of the... Trying to get to the...
Are you okay? Because it really doesn't seem like it.
No longer fit. We should leave him.
Yeah, can we help you?
Is there anything I can do to help you? Do you even want help?
Help me? No. No one can help me now.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
I'd rather die fighting!
Fighting? Fighting what? It's only you and us here right now.
Fighting what?
Not that kind of fight. It's like running through a thorn bush. The more you struggle... Time's up. Company's coming. Ask Vidan. Ask him about the... Ah!
Oh.
Look out!
Also, like I said, depending on the way that you, carry out that conversation, there may or may not be two Geth troopers that show up behind you. There legitimately are situations in which they will not appear, but, the course of action we took does make them show up. So, one down, this one right next to us, though, why don't we say, I don't know, throw you out of here? And that's actually enough for us to level up. Wow. Okay. And with that, I was asking earlier, I was wondering, now in Mass Effect 1, initially, the way it worked was, in your first playthrough, there was a level 50 cap. You could not exceed level 50. That was the maximum. Now, what you could do is, if you finish the game on level 50, then you could go back and play a new game plus. You could start on level 50, and then, over the course of that game, then, I think technically speaking, since the amount of experience that it takes to gain the level gets significantly larger as you start getting up there, may have technically required that you go for 3 playthroughs in order to actually reach level 60, which would then be the final level cap. You absolutely cannot go above 60, or at least couldn't in the original Mass Effect. So I was wondering if that had changed at all for Legendary Edition, and, well, based on how we have now reached level 51, I think that confirms or at least answers that question, and does seem as though in this case we can, in fact, go up to level 60, and that is nice, because, of course, if we could only reach level 50, then would have been cut off relatively quickly. But that does mean now that we have the option to select several more skills than we were initially planning to select. So that is nice, in particular, because that may now mean that one of the skills that I was deliberately avoiding just because I didn't think we're going to have enough skill points to invest in it, enough for it to be all that meaningful, that being Neural Shock, we could theoretically consider that now, because let's just do some math here. So, assuming that level 60 is the new cap, that would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points here. We'd have 4 more remaining for Neural Shock. That would get us up to the initial one, and just as a reminder, it knocks out organic enemies for 1 second and inflicts 40 toxic damage. So, the reason why I was reluctant to go this route, or at least to invest a bunch of points in it, was because after getting the fully upgraded stasis, which lasts for a whopping 21 seconds and completely immobilizes basically any enemy, whether they're organic or synthetic, this was just so good. It felt like if we can already completely immobilize enemies for a very long period of time, do we need to also be able to immobilize only a subset of enemies for a shorter period of time and deal a little bit of damage in the process? That seemed like that was not super meaningful, especially because, sure, you could say, well, Lids, 40 damage is something. Yeah, that may be the case. However, then again, we are also, bear in mind, whenever an opponent is completely frozen, we're probably shooting our weapons at it, probably dealing a lot more damage with our weapons than we are with that tiny little 40 damage per second. So, especially since that's 40 damage for 1 second, so that's, I think that only lasts for 40 seconds, or 40 damage for only 1 second, in which case, 40 damage total is basically nothing. I'm pretty sure that is, like, a fraction of the damage we get from shooting an enemy once. So, that's why I was reluctant to go that route. I'd say the strongest case you can make for it would be that if, say, our stasis is still on cooldown and we just really need something to briefly incapacitate an organic enemy, then that could mean that, sure, Neural Shock in the most dire of situations where we're getting completely overrun, maybe it is a small convenience to have that as well, but even then, I mean, just looking at it here, even if we get up to level 4, notice how, as you level it up, it does not increase the duration or power of Neural Shock, it only increases or reduces the recharge time for first aid, which is not super meaningful. We'd have to go all the way up to this rank here to get advanced Neural Shock before it lasts for a whopping 3 seconds. Oh my goodness, what? Imagine if you got all the way up to here and you got, what, 5 seconds? Again, compared to 21 seconds for stasis. And I just think, we committed hard to the stasis early, going all of our points into here, and then we also went Bastion all the way down to 12 for it as well. And I think it basically just makes this Neural Shock more or less completely useless, or almost completely useless. So even now, I'm not sure it makes sense to do it. To be honest with you, I think it may just be better to go with things like Barrier, especially since one more round gets us to Advanced Barrier, which defensively is certainly a nice boost, and then from there on out, just throw in a little bit here for some tech explosion damage bonuses, some additional shield capacity for more defenses as well. That's not bad either. And then from there, I suppose we could throw additional points in Barrier, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 theory is something kind of like what we might end up doing by the time we reach level 60, if we can even reach level 60 in this playthrough. Either way, I think short term the answer is Barrier, but that's just definitely opens up a lot of options now that we know that we can, in theory, get up much higher than level 50. So does that change anything with our other characters? I was talking previously about how it felt like we were kind of running out of decent options for Liara as well. I think it probably is going to be Barrier for her as well, at least short term, giving her more shielding from that. And then we're not as keen on using stasis with her because she does not have the ability or not have the upgrade that allows us to deal damage to stasis enemies, so they're quite literally just frozen, but we can't damage them, and that's significantly worse than what we have going on. So we might avoid that. I mean, and once we do get Barrier done, then maybe it's first aid, but I'm not a huge fan of that. It's probably more likely the Sorry Scientist for the tiny little bit of all biotic recharge time she gains from it. So I think Barrier almost by default is the answer here, short term. Then Tally. Tally, it's much more interesting. I think we are fans of most of the things she has left here. Decryption, traditional tech explosion damage. That's basically all of her abilities are tech explosions of some variety except hacking. So that would be helpful. Could improve pistols, probably not a super high priority, but it is her secondary weapon, so there are some situations in which she's going to want to use those. Especially if her shotgun gets overheated. Then, although we don't really care about unlocking first aid, increasing damage reduction and hardening, it's not a bad thing. It does help her defensively, and of course we were talking about how she has a ton of shields. She's getting 270 from electronics. She's getting another 210 from this one here, so that's 480 just from those two abilities alone. Bear in mind, she's also getting shields from her armor and armor upgrades, so she just has a ridiculous amount of shields, and that's why when we're talking about going against enemies that are not able to ignore shields with their damage, then she actually can be pretty tanky. And so if you go further down the basic armor and therefore damage reduction and hardening route, then that can start to add up. So that might be the answer here short term. Otherwise, it's the more glass cannon tech damage approach. I think maybe, especially right now, when we have what is a bit of a squishier team, we're relying on Tally to be our tank of sorts, so sure, let's go this route for now. Okay, but so we've taken out those Geth, and Ian is still here.
I won't do it. I won't. I can't. I won't do it.
Okay.
My mind is my own. My mind is my own. My mind is my own. My mind is my own.
Sure, buddy. Sure. Let's get out of here. So I think that means we're going back the way we came from. And now, we'll look into going down this collapsed highway section. And in theory, we're still looking for that place where we find the Varren, and more specifically, the Alpha Varren. And that would mean, if we are to fight them, that we would be talking about organic rather than synthetic enemies. And I'm thinking this may be the answer right here. In which case, if we have any tungsten rounds, we'll want to switch those over to Shredder. And I think we do have them, I mean, on our assault rifle, which I don't think random non-sapient creatures are capable of overheating our weapons with tech abilities. So I'm not sure its relevance here. Maybe we don't even bother switching over in that case. Let's just verify with our other weapons if that's not the case. Our pistol actually is using Shredder rounds. So yeah, that we probably should have switched over, to tell you the truth. Because that was not helping against the Geth. But at least against the expected incoming Varren, then that could be helpful. Do we have level 8 Shredder? We might. We might have slightly better Shredder rounds. In which case we should use those. Except if we did, we would have passed them already. So it doesn't look like it. Alright, I guess we keep that then. Similarly, the combat optics, I'm not sure is a huge deal, but now again we get to the problem where we don't have much in the way of the weapon upgrades outside of just increasing stability. We have a ton of those. We could go high caliber barrel for damage, but reduced rate of fire and reduced heat absorption. Not a huge fan of this. I think it gets much better as we start looking at the higher level versions that sure give us the heat absorption penalty, but we lose the rate of fire penalty as well, and then suddenly you can make the case. You can make a much stronger case for using those. This one, there's pretty steep downside. So, I guess we just stick with it. Sure. Don't love it, but here we go. Hi guys, how are you? That's a lot of red dots. Can we use this as a little bit of a choke point for them all? Perhaps, because if we look at our map, which I'm not sure we can see Now, we can't really see into this room here, but rather than being an elevator, it looks like it's just an entryway into a different room. And I'm guessing it's more wide open, and therefore easier for a large group of Varren, like we're seeing on our map, to swarm us. This guy's pretty big. He's still fairly far away from us, and he's looking like he is possibly the same size as Liara. So that's a little bit of a problem. But he's down, it seems. Okay, yeah, there's a large group of them coming here. I'm wondering if maybe... not sure you can shoot them through the walls there, guys. Not sure you can shoot them through the walls there. Fortunately, it does seem as though they are more or less one at a time trying to get us here. Down from this direction, and that does certainly serve the same function we were trying... Yeah, they're continuing to try to shoot through the walls to get him. There we go. Can you come back for a second? I mean, these strategy's working well. We have successfully made it so we are only fighting one Varren at a time, but perhaps working too well, in a way, because at times you're fighting 0 Varren at a time. Alright, I'm thinking there may only be one left, in which case, let's move in. Now should be significantly safer, I would think. Oh, that's the Alpha. By the looks of things, that means we should probably do something to slow you down. If anything, it kind of looks like it's smaller. That's just me? Varren falls dead, riddled with slugs. It certainly was. This must be the Alpha male, the pack leader of these feral scavengers. Is it just me? It really looked like this guy was smaller than the others. I was kind of expecting him to be significantly larger. But, okay. So, in theory, things are cleared out here, and now you can see that, yes, so this room was definitely much larger, more open, and for that reason I was a little bit reluctant to just go straight in here and allow the Varren to swarm us from all sides and have us get overwhelmed. But that is one of the reasons why taking crowd control people like Liara, less so Tally, at least in this case, against organic enemies, but can be very helpful against all them. Don't worry, that's just the door closing as we walk away. Let's see, we have a malfunctioning object here, which we can loot for more combat optics. Yay! Kinetic coil! Yay! And polonium rounds. We would love other upgrades that are not accuracy and are not weapon stability. We want the damage. Want the damage or the frictionless materials. Let's see, we have a sludge canister, which is a very pleasant description. Which gives us the Kessler and medium human armor. I mean, medium human armor is it's not that useful for us because we can't use it, Hayden can't use it, and it's just bad for Ashley because she can use heavy. So let's just take a quick look around here, see if there's anything else in the area before we take a look at the fuel compartment, where we could theoretically remove the power cells, which would likely be what we're looking to do here. That is, well, actually, come to think of it, we're trying to fight the Varren for the food source, but power cells is, well, of course, for supplying power to the colony. So, don't mind if we do. This old, disabled vehicle was more willing to part with its still functioning power cell than one would expect. Yeah, especially for something that is, currently engulfed in flames. Yeah, maybe we get out of here before this thing explodes. That might not be a bad idea. I'm pretty sure we've gotten all the loot around here. Okay. Oh, except by the looks of our map, it seems like we may now have company. I'm guessing that it's more Geth. Alright, Tally, you know what to do. Alright, that looks like a sniper of some variety. We have a shock trooper, we have... I think the sniper is back there. Let's deliberately overload this. Oh, that looks like a destroyer, actually. That it is. Let's stasis you. And, well, it is stasis. Get rid of the shock trooper. Get rid of the destroyer. And our friends are not going to shoot the destroyer while it's stasis, but there's apparently still one more enemy here. It is a sniper. Get a cover, maybe, or we can rush down. Hello. Please do not shoot us. I believe it is dead. Nice. Okay. So at least in theory, that's all the Geth that we know about here. We'll start heading back. That was the way where we went in Actually, no, that's the way we're looking to go. I was going to say for a second, I thought that was going to be the way where we went to go get the Geth transmitter, but we've already passed that. This is our way back to the colony. And I believe we did run into some Geth on our way over here initially. Have the Geth returned to this area? Or is this area now safe? Good question. Good question. At least as of right now, things are fairly quiet. Will they remain that way? It does look like it. Back in more sort of the main section now. And this would be the elevator up to the place where we could go to the Mako, and in theory, or at least, Protean Skyway, I think they made mention, someone has said, that, that's where we could, yeah, get in the Mako or some other, vehicle and go across that Skyway into the Exogeny headquarters, where the main quest, or the main section of the main quest would be. But again, we have kind of finished those side quests, but technically, I think in order for them to actually count, we do need to make sure that we go back to the actual colony itself and speak to the people who are the experts in all those topic areas. Let's make sure that we do that now in that case. And so, Fidan and Arcelia, I think, were the ones that were concerned about the Geth transmitter and the Geth troops in the tunnels to begin with.
I'm grateful for what you've done, but your heroics don't impress me, Commander.
Excuse me? Our heroics don't impress you? Thank you very much. We just destroyed all those Geth that you were concerned about and got rid of their transmitter too. I'll take a thank you. Were we able to ask you previously about these things, or only Fidan? So I feel like we were only able to ask Fidan. This might be the first time we've been actually able to ask you specifically, and, she was a little prickly, and is, well, still rather prickly, so maybe that's the reason why she's only willing to disclose some of this information once we've proven ourselves at least a bit in her eyes.
Tell me more about yourself, Arcelia.
I'm a rent-a-cop. I was hired to keep kids from writing graffiti on the walls at Exogeny. Then all this happened. I wasn't trained for this. I didn't ask for it. I just wanted to end.
Okay, yeah, you know, that is kind of rough. I mean, it's kind of rough for all of them, right? But in many ways, she is one of the few people who is trained, at least in a certain sense, to defend people, but or not really in the way that she now needs to do that, because yeah, stopping people from writing graffiti is a lot different from fighting off Geth. And we definitely did not ask her about this stuff before, so I think we definitely push further here. So those were the personal questions about her. You are seemingly rather angry. Any particular reason for that?
I get the feeling you don't like me.
How would you feel if you were hung out to dry by every government organization that ever promised to keep you safe? They should have sent a small fleet. Instead, we get one ship.
I mean,
and you're only interested in the Geth.
I mean, that may be, but at the same time, we did just take out the Geth that you were concerned about, and we did also just help out with your water, food, and power supply. So, you know, feel like you could be a little more grateful right about now, because we kind of just disproved all of those things that you were just expressing concern about. So, other than that, I mean, speaking of the Geth...
What can you tell me about the Geth? Do you have any idea what they might be after?
I can't tell you anything about that. I suggest you go to Exogeny if you want answers to those questions.
Okay, I mean, I suppose so. We will, of course, end up heading over there eventually. But we want to make sure that we do everything here first. So, in which case, why don't we ask about Exogeny?
What can you tell me about Exogeny?
Very little. I work there as a security officer. I know they were looking for artifacts and anything of value. That's what they do. They fund the colony. In return, we help them uncover buried treasure. It's definitely not as exciting as they make it sound.
I don't know. Something about that delivery there really made it sound like you are knowingly withholding information from us, which, to tell you the truth, it's kind of the sense of getting from just about everybody in the colony. So I suppose not so unique in that sense, at least. But we do have other things we can ask you about. I think the only remaining thing we have is the colony itself, which is the thing that people have seemingly been the most reluctant to answer,
Tell me about Zoo's
for
Hope.
whatever reason.
I can't tell you much about it.
Yeah.
You should speak to Dan if you want to know more.
I mean, he's standing right next to you. But, okay. I guess. Bye?
Goodbye.
Commander.
Okay, so that's one of the people that we were looking to chat with. Let's see. Has that now... Oh no, technically we need to talk to Fidan. Technically, we don't turn it in with you. We actually turn it in with Fidan, so let's make sure we do that here.
Commander, what can I do for you?
A couple things, actually. Yeah, so we can bring up this whole strange behavior thing with Fidan. The whole, no one wants to answer our questions. Everyone says, just talk to Fidan. And, well, here you are, Fidan. Can you explain that at all?
Some of the colonists are acting strange.
We're a close-knit group, Commander. Most of us have lost loved ones, friends.
Nah, that's not it.
These aren't trained soldiers. Nobody taught us how to deal with the
I get
horrors
that.
of war.
But that's not it.
This is our home. We've watched the Geth slowly destroy everything that is important to us. Don't judge us too harshly.
Alright. I'll let off a little bit here, but I'm just saying. It's a little suspicious. But we did, of course, stop the Geth, at least the ones in the tunnels.
I destroyed a Geth transmitter in the tunnels. It won't be a problem any longer.
Thank you, Commander. We're in your debt. You've taken a great weight off my shoulders. I just wish I had such good news for every problem.
Well, not sure if we should bring these things up to you, but in theory, many, if not all of your other problems should now be addressed. I think, why don't we go to the other people first?
I'll talk to you when I learn more.
Good luck, Commander.
And we actually get a bunch of Paragon points for that as well. Although at this point, just looking at our Paragon meter, it could very well be completely full. I mean, if it's not, it is a fraction away from being done. So that is certainly a cool thing. Also, I think we picked up a little bit of equipment when we last fought those waves of Geth. Just a little bit of tungsten rounds, which I suppose coming from Geth is rather fitting. Okay, so that was the Geth in the tunnels. Still have those people there, but this was the food guy.
Hello again, Commander.
You see, the alpha male is now dead. We've taken care of him.
I killed the big Varren. The rest are yours.
The big guy.
Excellent.
He's gone.
I'll organize a hunt when the immediate threat of the Geth is gone.
Also, the Geth are kind of, sort of gone as well. At least the ones in the tunnels. They're not here either. So, you could, theoretically, make your move now. Interesting that we can say, see, you know, we did just do you a favor, so, like, it is time. It's time, buddy. Pay up. Pay up right now. And, based on how this is in the bottom half of the wheel, generally means that that's more of a renegade option, whereas, of course, we've generally been going more the Paragon approach. That being said, as we were just noting, we are perhaps at full Paragon meter, so, and this is one of the things that I was kind of mentioning when we were talking about exploring some of the potential infinite morality point methods, how if you do use those, then eventually, you know, you will, of course, probably reach maximum morality, and perhaps earlier than you might otherwise like to, because then you start getting to situations like this where you say, well, I mean, sure, we could deliberately just take Paragon options or avoid Renegade options, but since our Paragon meter is already full, then we might as well go Renegade, right? And, you know, that can kind of take away from your playthrough, at least in my opinion. I feel like, in my case, it could, you know, it could sort of influence you, make you feel like, alright, well, I wouldn't, under normal circumstances, play this way, but there isn't as much of an opportunity cost anymore, so why not? And then you kind of get with this muddled, well, I was sort of more all over the place and didn't really stick with my initial plan as to what I wanted to do with my playthrough. And so, at least in my opinion, I feel like that's a little bit, I feel like it has the potential to take away a little bit from your experience, but to each their own. I think, though, I'm a little bit curious to see just what we can potentially get out of this, because this may not just be a simple, let's get a couple of Renegade points. It might be a, hold on, can we get something more interesting out of this?
Fork over the reward so I can get back to more important
That's
things.
pretty aggressive.
Of course. I don't want to delay you any more than I already have.
Alright, and we get a little bit, actually a lot of Paragon, a little bit of Renegade, and, actually didn't catch what it was, or it's not equipment. Was it, credits? I mean, there's a long list of things we got out of that. as well as a journal entry. But at the very least, we have now confirmed Varren meet complete. You have defeated the Alpha Varren and informed Davin Reynolds. Colonists can now begin hunting Varren for food, and you have destroyed the Geth transmitter and informed Fidan, so whose hope is safe from the immediate threat of the Geth. But now, we have the power cells and the water restoration that we should inform people about as well. So let us do that. And almost, and by almost I mean I did walk right past you.
Nice work with those Geth. Glad you showed up.
Yeah, I got more good news for you though.
Cells for this generator, though.
Because you might want to take a look at these.
I found these power cells in the tunnels. Are they what you're looking for?
I knew they'd turn up eventually. Here, Fidan gave me some requisition money. It's all yours. Now if I can kick these power cells into place, I'll have this colony up and running in no time.
Nice. Yeah, so there you see we get some Paragon points. We would have gotten credits, but you actually saw it said +0. And this is the problem, is if we look at our equipment screen here, like we were saying before, we did reach 99 million credits, which is the maximum number of credits, and therefore that's another thing that can potentially sort of influence indirectly your decision-making, because, well, it means that at this point, we cannot earn any more credits, at least not until we spend some credits, because, well, we can't exceed this amount. So that puts us in a bit of a weird place where suddenly some of the rewards, like I think perhaps the ones where we just sort of very aggressively told a guy to pay up after we helped him with the Varren problem, that was, I think, in order to get additional credits, and, well, of course, those are credits that we didn't actually get the chance to collect. So that means we were basically just a meanie for the sake of being a meanie, in that case. So, yeah, in some ways, I would love if there actually were things we wanted to buy from Ledra over here, or anyone else for that matter. Of course, the big thing being that we do very much want to eventually get that level 10 Spectre gear, but we can't get it just yet. So, that's, I mean, why don't we take a quick moment here just to see if initially Ledra did not really have anything that we wanted, but maybe he's restocked now, in which case maybe we can get below the maximum number of credits, and so that way if we do get some quantity of credits from this last person when we turn in the quest, at least there's some significance to it.
Is there something I can do for you? I'm told to make all my goods available.
Yeah, let's take a quick look here.
Of course. I may be able to provide a few interesting items.
I hope so, because last time it was just a whole bunch of stuff from Halliot Armory, and not really anything else. And this just wasn't really good enough to do the trick for us. And similarly, the license, I mean, because it's sort of middle-of-the-road manufacturer, I mean, early game, if Pharos happens to be the first of the main quests that you do, then this might be worth picking up, just so you get early access to some decent weapons. Although, since we're doing it relatively late on, after having already done Therum, if you remember that one where we got Liara, yeah, that was one of the main quests, we did that very early. And then, of course, Novaria, more recently, and a bunch of side quests in between. We picked up a lot of this stuff, or, in many cases, better stuff, in the meantime, and so this is pretty much just filler at this point. So, for that reason, as much as I really want to spend some money here, there really isn't much point in doing so, sadly. We wanted to pay you. We wanted to pay you, Ledra, but you just didn't have the goods, I'm afraid. So, in that case, I think that does mean that we will turn in this quest here with Maka, even if it means that, assuming that we may get credits out of it, well, it's not going to do anything for us, but so be it. Of course, the primary reason that we're doing this is to support the colony.
The water started running not long ago. Thanks to you, I assume. Now we just need to deal with the Geth and we can get back to growing this colony.
And there you see, in the bottom right corner, we just got an achievement there for completionist, which I believe means that we have now, just at this very moment, completed the majority of the quests in the game. So there's a good check-in point to see. Of course, we've only done a few of the main quests, but the main quests, as we were just seeing here, do sometimes have sort of sub-components to them, and we've done, of course, a lot of side quests. And so, with that combination of things, we have now officially made it over halfway through the game. And what's up, Byroder? How's it going? We're doing some Mass Effect here. We are just on the main quest now, one of the main quests, in Pharos, and we are helping out these people who are in a colony that has been, well, attacked by some robots, and in addition to that, they've run into some problems with their power supply shutting down, their water supply shutting down, their food supply was getting shut down by a large creature that we had to kill. And then, what else? Also, we just destroyed a lot of the robots so that there wasn't an immediate threat from all them. So, trying to help them get back on their feet a bit here, but as you can see, they have still perhaps more issues that remain here. We actually, not sure if we saw these people here before. Might not have been here previously. Specifically, you look like you are not just a generic colonist.
You're the commander of the ship that just landed.
This is true. Who are you?
What do you do here?
I'm just watching over the ship, making sure she doesn't get any worse. If nothing else, she's good for hiding in when those Geth come over the walls.
Okay, I mean, you're referring to a ship that is currently on the ground, I'm pretty sure destroyed, and does not look by any means like it is flyable. And so that's a little strange that you're keeping an eye on the ship when it seems like, it's not going anywhere. So what exactly are you doing?
It looks like you're monitoring something.
No, well, just ship diagnostics. It's nothing. I should get back to it, but Dan, what's the report on? I should go.
What's the matter?
Maybe I can help you. What are you trying to diagnose?
No, thanks, really. Now, please, I need to get back to work.
Very odd. There were some other things we could have asked her about, and I wonder if we can still do that here.
This work must be completed.
Or if perhaps now... Ooh.
I can't talk right now. I'm busy.
Now she's officially too busy to speak with us. Can we, activate the freighter crane controls, even though she's standing right here?
This work must be completed.
We can try, but she will not let us. Interesting. So I suppose, perhaps, if you deliberately, try to, investigate all that other stuff first, then, you might be able to get a little more information about her, or whatever else she can tell us, before she starts shutting down and saying, nah, enough of that, I need to get back to work. I mean, technically speaking, the investigator's on the left side of the wheel, which usually means, extend the conversation, whereas the option that I took was on the right side of the wheel, which usually means end the conversation. So, that being said, it looked like maybe that was going to be one exception, but I was wrong. Alright, so, with that being said, that now means that we have done all of those side missions for Theros, and we are now looking at just the primary thing, which is, of course, head over to the Exogeny headquarters, where we're expecting to find the primary Geth base, which is, of course, the primary reason why we are here to begin with. And we have learned that apparently the way to do that is by going up to this elevator, which, as we walked past it, was saying it would take us to the Skyway, where I believe we will find a vehicle to help take us there. One thing that is worth noting, however, on this occasion, this is a key point because I was saying at the beginning of this mission, in theory, it is possible that if you feel like you'd like to switch your party members at some point, it is possible to switch them early on in the process, but eventually we will reach a point of no return where it will no longer be an option for us to do that. And so I should mention that if you are playing along with us, this is that part where, theoretically, you could start heading toward the Exogeny headquarters and then just double back to switch over to other party members. That'd be rather inconvenient. But this is the last convenience time in which to change your party members, so let that be a warning to you that if you are feeling like, at least initially, you weren't a huge fan of the team that you brought with you, this is the last convenient time to make it happen, and eventually will be just outright impossible. So, I'm thinking that we're probably still fine with the team that we have here. Like I was saying, some concern about the lack of any particularly tanky characters, but thinking we can still make do with what we have going for us, because we have what we lack in tankiness, we have an abundance of crowd control and other support abilities. So I do like that. But I think this is also absolutely a good time for us to save, because this is a good sort of breaking point where, like I said, we've done all the things for Zeus Hope that are sort of on the side that support the colony, but now we're going into the main thing, which is go to the Exogeny headquarters. Which, like I was saying, in theory, would be... Hold on. At this elevator. Let's hop in. I suppose, similarly, if there are things you want to make sure that you bought or sold from Ledra, this would also be the last convenient time to do that. But as we were looking at that stuff previously, it seems like there's not really anything for us to do on that front, so let's carry on.
Watch out!
Hold on. I was getting a drink of water. I was not ready. I was not prepared. Because it does seem as though we have some friends here, but we also have a Geth assault drone. Okay. Let's maybe, what would we like to do to stop you? What if we overload you? Could be a lot of damage. And that appears to be the last of those enemies. Things appear to have not gone so well up here, though. A couple of friends, but there's also a lot of stuff on fire. Can we chat with you at all? The answer to that question is seemingly no. Is there anything over here of note? Because the answer to that question might also be no. Anything hanging out in the fire here? That'd be devious. They hid, like, the best gear in the game right there in the middle of the fire. Like, go on, I dare you. I dare you. Give it a try. Alright, and as expected, yes, indeed, there is a Mako here. And with that Mako, we can start making our way over the Exogeny headquarters, but let's just, before we do just that, let's see if there's anything else. Any other crates or what have you, like, over in this corner, or are we truthfully good to start heading out? Nothing hiding on the other side of this. Okay, so it does seem like we could head on out now. I'm curious, if we go look at our map here, what we'll find is that this looks totally different now. So we're on the Pharaoh's Prothean Skyway. Here is the Mako, but then we have this very long, narrow pathway, and eventually we will find the Skyway way station on the opposite side. So that is the route that we are looking to take, and the Mako is our means to take that route.